So, let's talk about Africa. For many, the word conjures up images of struggle and poverty, thanks to narrow media portrayals, but that's just one story, and it leaves out so much. Africa is a continent of over 50 countries, billions of people, and a legacy of ancient brilliance and innovation. Today, we're filling in the missing pages, exploring 5 mind-blowing facts about African history that most people, even Africans, don't know. These aren't just trivia, they're truths that reframe everything we thought we knew about Africa's past. Get ready to have your mind blown. Let's tackle the biggest myth, that pre-colonial Africa was empty, uncivilized, and waiting for Europeans to bring civilization. This dark continent narrative was a colonial invention, one that erases centuries of African achievement. Before Europeans arrived, Africa was home to vast, wealthy empires: Mali, Songhai, Congo, Benin, Ashanti, and Aksum, to name a few. Mansa Musa of Mali was the richest person in history, and his empire was a center of learning, trade, and architecture. The Benin Empire's bronze art stunned Europeans, who couldn't believe Africans made such masterpieces. Cities like Timbuktu had universities with hundreds of thousands of manuscripts on science, law, and philosophy. The Ashanti and Congo had complex political systems and international diplomacy. The Kingdom of Aksum minted its own coins, had a written language, and was among the first to adopt Christianity. These were not primitive societies, they were advanced, organized, and dynamic. The darkness was a colonial lie to justify exploitation. Colonizers painted Africa as a blank slate to position themselves as saviors, not conquerors. In reality, Africa was a land of order, wealth, and intellectual power. The arrival of Europeans wasn't a discovery, it was a violent interruption. Recognizing these kingdoms isn't just about correcting history, it's about understanding how Africa's trajectory was forcibly changed. Africa wasn't discovered, it was interrupted. The real story is one of abundance, not absence. It's time to reclaim that narrative. Now let's head south to Great Zimbabwe, a city that shatters the stereotype of simple huts. These ruins are the remains of a mega-city, the capital of a powerful kingdom from the 11th to 15th centuries. The great enclosure's massive stone walls, built without mortar, still stand after nearly 1,000 years. At its peak, Great Zimbabwe housed up to 18,000 people, making it one of the world's largest cities at the time. This was a hub of international trade. Artifacts from China, India, and Persia have been found here. The city's rulers controlled gold production and cattle wealth, living in fortress-like complexes overlooking the city. Society was highly organized, with artisans, traders, and a clear social hierarchy. When colonial settlers found Great Zimbabwe, they refused to believe Africans built it. Early archaeologists invented wild theories. Phoenicians, Arabs, even the Queen of Sheba, anything but the local Shona people. Evidence was suppressed and the site damaged, all to uphold colonial myths. But modern archaeology proved the truth. Great Zimbabwe was built by Africans, for Africans. The name Zimbabwe means Great Houses of Stone in Shona. The denial of its origins was a deliberate erasure of African achievement. Today the ruins stand as undeniable proof of African ingenuity and civilization. The stones don't lie. Great Zimbabwe is a monument to a lost legacy. It's time to recognize the brilliance that colonialism tried to erase. This city was a symbol of power, innovation, and global connection. Its story is Africa's story, one of greatness, not absence. Let's put it back in the spotlight. Here's a controversial one. Did Africans reach the Americas before Columbus? The story starts with Abu Bakr II, Emperor of Mali, who reportedly launched a massive Atlantic expedition in the early 1300s, centuries before Columbus. According to historical accounts, he sent hundreds, then thousands of ships west, never to return. Mainstream history says they perished, but some evidence suggests otherwise. Proponents point to Olmec heads in Mexico, with features some interpret as African, and early European explorers who reported seeing people of color in the Americas. There are also reports of West African gold alloys and plants native to Africa found in pre-Columbian America. Linguistic and botanical clues hint at ancient contact. Mainstream historians remain skeptical, but the debate is ongoing. Whether or not Abu Bakr's fleet made it, the story itself challenges the myth that Africans lacked maritime technology or ambition. The very idea that a 14th century African emperor could conceive and fund a transatlantic voyage is mind-blowing. It shows a level of ambition and capability erased from most history books. We're taught to see Columbus's 3 ships as the height of exploration, but Mali's fleets were on another level. Even if the evidence is debated, the story forces us to rethink Africa's role in global history. Africans were not isolated. They were explorers, traders, and innovators. The Atlantic wasn't an impassable barrier, it was a frontier. This challenges everything we thought we knew about pre-colonial Africa. The truth may be more complex than we realize. What matters is that Africa's history is full of ambition and adventure. It's time to recognize that. The story of Abu Bakr II is a reminder. Africa's past is bigger than we imagine. Let's keep asking questions. When you picture the Sahara, you see endless sand. But that's only a recent chapter. For thousands of years, the Sahara was green grasslands, lakes, and rivers teeming with life. This green Sahara period ended just 5,000, 6,000 years ago. Imagine forests and lakes where there's now only desert. Lake Megachad was once larger than the Caspian Sea. Elephants, giraffes, and hippos roamed the region, and humans thrived. The Sahara was a corridor, not a barrier, a cradle of civilization. Archaeologists have found thousands of rock art engravings showing people swimming, herding cattle, and hunting. These artworks reveal a complex, vibrant society. The Green Sahara means human innovation in Africa is older and more widespread than we thought. As the climate changed, people migrated, fueling the rise of ancient Egypt and other civilizations. The desert's expansion was a catalyst, not a catastrophe. Africa's story is one of adaptation and resilience. The Sahara hides a lost world beneath its sands. Human development in Africa goes far beyond what we see today. The past is greener and richer than we imagine. When you think pyramids, you think Egypt, but Sudan has more than twice as many. Over 250 pyramids stand in Sudan, built by the Kingdom of Kush, a black African dynasty that once ruled Egypt itself. The Nubian pyramids are steeper and narrower, clustered around the ancient city of Meroe. These were tombs for Kushite kings and queens, symbols of immense power and wealth. The Kushites had their own script, a thriving iron industry, and a vast trade network. They weren't living in Egypt's shadow, they were a superpower in their own right. Kushite pharaohs presided over a renaissance in Egypt, restoring temples and culture. Yet, their story is often ignored, overshadowed by Egypt's fame and colonial bias. Western historians downplayed black African achievements, leaving a gap in our knowledge. The pyramids of Sudan are a UNESCO World Heritage Site, but few know they exist. They're proof of a powerful, sophisticated African civilization. The Kingdom of Kush deserves its place in world history. These pyramids challenge our Egypt-centric view of the ancient world. It's time to give Kush its due. Africa's legacy is bigger than we've been told. There you have it, 5 truths that rewrite the story of Africa. From megacities to forgotten pyramids, Africa's history is rich, complex, and world-changing. This isn't about rewriting history, it's about revealing it. We must challenge old narratives and embrace a fuller, more honest past. If this opened your eyes, share it, and subscribe for more untold stories. There's so much more to discover. Thanks for watching.